a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, always making you more informed as a consumer, making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got attorney Milly Athanason joining us here in just a moment, and also Brett Miller, representing Galileo. We're going to talk about satellite phones and safety and contingency plans as well. So Galileo, satellite phone store as well. Sat phones are going to be a topic on the second half of the show coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Quick shout out to our friends over at Lawn Anglers. Adam Long and his team, they do such a great job for all of our real estate, whether it's commercial, residential, lawn and landscaping, lawn maintenance, landscaping, mulching, tree trimming. Adam Long does a great job. Lawn Anglers is his company. Highly recommend. Let him know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take him up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we love to feature our listings on air. We got a hot listing here on St. Pete Beach. Beautiful waterfront property at 6441 4th Palm Point, St. Pete Beach. This is a beautiful property. Great opportunity to own waterfront real estate in Pinellas County. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2280 square feet. You have a split floor plan. You have barrel tile roof, hurricane rated windows, and the pool overlooking Boca Ciega Bay is a sight to see. Bring your boat. You got your own private boat dock there, private pool, and a fenced in backyard. Great opportunity to own real estate here at 6441 4th Palm Point, St. Pete Beach, Florida. Another hot listing from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And we got a property at 3864 50th Avenue South in St. Petersburg. This is a complete remodel. This property is ready to go. Owners motivated here at 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2-car garage, 1659 square feet, and it's completely remodeled. Bathrooms have been updated. Kitchen features stainless steel appliances, tiled backsplash, and an island. You have a screened-in back patio that's overlooking the backyard, and you're a block away from the recently renovated Maximo Marina and famous Tiki Docks. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
Yeah, I'm racing my class to those saving our ass overseas.
All right, we got our friend attorney Milly Athanason back on the Quarterback Show. Milly, how are you?
I am wonderful, Brandon. I hope everything is well with you.
Absolutely. Blessed and highly favored, and it's been a little while since we caught up. Bring us up to speed. Any new laws? What are you seeing out there?
Well, actually, yes, we've had some new laws that were actually passed last year that are now going into effect as of January 1st. And I know it's already February 1st, but the month just went by so quickly. Having said that, there's a Persons with Disabilities Registry law that is called the Protect Our Loved Ones Act, and it now authorizes law enforcement to maintain their own database called the Persons with Disabilities Registry, and it allows family members and people to register with the police departments and sheriff's offices. So it addresses common concerns between like the police and individuals with disabilities, and it gives the police a database where they can put your name in, put in your disabilities, put in contact details, because, for example, some people are elderly and they may have, dementia, or they may have difficulty speaking and walking. So if the police is going to have an interaction with them, or somebody makes a call, they already kind of have a heads up as what's going on with that person.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good idea, because I think that's one of the, we had this wild, crazy defund the police movement a few years back, and I think part of the argument, some of the argument was in certain situations, which is very rare occasion, very small occasions that it could happen, or small chance of it happening, would have been when you have a perpetrator or a potential defendant that was mentally challenged or had these different issues, dementia, maybe they're elderly, maybe they're just a little bit slow. Those were some of the common feedbacks. But again, that's less than, I don't know the percentages, but I'm guessing it's probably about 1 to 5%.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think because we have such a large elderly population here in Florida, I think it really becomes a necessity because, you know, a lot of times what happens is people have, you know, their elderly parents here, but the children and grandchildren live out of state. So if the police are called to the elderly folks' homes and something, then they know what to look for and know what to be cautious of. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, exactly. You got to make sure you're working with the public in whatever way that you can have, you know, as far as patience and to have understanding. At the same time, you got some of these really hardened criminals out there working every little, you know, scheme and loophole that they can find, trying to maximize the right.
Absolutely, and that kind of brings me to the next change in the law. They've tightened up on pretrial release and detention. So the law is implementing changes to the bail and pretrial detention system, and it tightens up pretrial release options for certain felony offenders based on their criminal history. So, and additionally, it's requiring the Supreme Court of Florida to establish a bond schedule. And not only that, but it's restricting the lower courts from setting bail amounts lower than those that would be specified in the schedule for these felony offenses. So that, in other words, before the judges kind of had discretion on where to set bail. But now, given the history, the bail is going to be set for certain felony offenses. So this way people just can't, you know, easily get out of jail because they've had experience before that court before or what have you.
Yeah, I understand. Yep. There's a lot. It's been a busy legislative session, I believe. I've heard from county commissioners, our friend Bernie, that's up in the state as well, Bernie Jocks. It seems like it's been a pretty busy legislative session, the last couple, it seems.
Yes. And the legislative session is ongoing right now. These law changes that have come into effect as of January 1st were from last year's legislative and special sessions. So they just, a lot of times when laws are enacted, they don't go into effect until a specified time. So these are laws that have changed in 23, but are implemented to go into effect as of January 1st of 24. So that's what these rules are. And speaking of these public officials, there's now, and I'm sure you've heard about it in the news, the new ethics requirements for public officials. So there's already laws that apply to the governor, the Senate and House, county commissioners, school board members, and sheriffs, where they have to disclose all of their financial dealings. Well, now it's expanded so that basically all types of public officials are now having to submit their disclosures of their financial relationships and dealings. And as a result, what you've heard in the news is a mass resignation, if you will, of all kinds of public officials because they have to disclose what's going on in their life. They don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Talk to me more about that. Like, what brought that on? And is that applying to every? Because I think I saw it over at one of the beaches. I can't remember if it's Indian Rock Beach or whatnot here locally.
Yes, and so yes, that is correct. It was down at the beaches, and what's happening is that, you know, you have to divest your involvement with certain companies, and what happens is a lot of the constituents, if you will, are these people that have ownership interests in companies. And so if they're voting on laws that may have an effect on those companies and so forth, and they have financial dealings with them, they have to disclose that. Well, they don't want to disclose those things.
Right.
Because they don't necessarily want to disclose everyone who's financially backing them.
Yep, that's true. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that now it's making things a little bit more transparent. And a lot of people don't like it, so they're choosing to resign until they figure out some loophole how to get around it. Right?
I think it's great. I think it's great if you're going to be in public limelight and you're going to be in control of public funds and public making laws and making you know, there's so much control that you have. I don't see where there would be a problem of having transparency
I don't either. I mean, I think that especially with all the distrust that citizens have in the government right now,
Yeah.
I think having a little bit more transparency may help renew or restore some of the faith lost with our public officials.
Absolutely. Yep. 1,000% on board with that one. If you just joined us, we're talking with Milly Athanason, local attorney right here in Tampa Bay. We highly recommend reaching out to Milly Athanason. You can reach her in multiple ways, and we'll give out her contact details here in just a minute. Of course, consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors at consumerqb.com. But Milly, what else are you seeing out there? What else is topical right now?
Well, in relation to driving and auto accidents, there's an expansion of Florida's move-over law, which basically affects anybody that's on Florida's roads. Before, we only had to move over for emergency, sanitation, utility service, and construction vehicles. Now, that has been extended to you have to move over if there are vehicles displaying hazard lights, emergency flares, or emergency signage. And this is because a lot of times when they come to tow vehicles, when people are getting out to help other people that are disabled, there's been a large number of deaths on Florida's highway, especially at nighttime, because people are tired or they're not paying attention and they hit the people, or they just swerve a bit and hit the people that are pulled off to the side of the road. So they've expanded the law now to try to protect the safety. Florida has had record deaths in people that have pulled over to help other people.
Right.
And that's a serious problem. So that's why the move over law has been expanded now to cover these people.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, that one really strikes home for me too, because a lot of times I'm trying to get somewhere and I don't, I'll go a little bit over the speed limit, not too crazy, but if you're driving slow in the left-hand lane, there's a couple songs out there that come to mind for it, but there's one Adam Sandler one, and there's one, I think it's Ludacris, if you know what I mean, if you know those songs. But get out of the left lane, get over to the middle lane, get over to the right lane. Let the people that want to go a little bit faster in that left lane, because you're right, Milly. We talked to state representatives on the show about it, I believe, and it was and essentially, what's happening is that people are going wild and passing around there and swerving back around and coming back in the other lane, and they're causing accidents by that way, or it's also going to cause road rage. I know just yesterday I heard Roger P. Shulman right here on our station talking about a road rage shooting where this guy went crazy, he started shooting guns and in the highway and accidentally hit a child.
Yeah, and the problem with Florida, too, is that we not only have our own citizens, we've got so many transient drivers. And in fact,
Right.
There's a joke that that there's a change of season in Florida by seeing all the different license plates.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, there's just so many different drivers. So then I think that compounds the difficulties that you have with road rage and with people not using the left lane properly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Attorney Milly Athanason here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We talk about personal injury law, family law, divorce, child support situations here with Milly. I got a clip I'm going to play when we come back. It's about dating, modern-day dating. So it'll play right into that family law theme that we talk about with Attorney Milly Athanason. Taking a quick break here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. You don't want to miss this clip. It's very interesting content coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone. And it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next. Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite. Sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. We got attorney Milly Athanason on the show today. We're going to talk with her about family law, divorce situations here coming up in just a minute. 18522 Gulf Boulevard, another beautiful property listing from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. This one's right on the beach. Have you ever wanted to own a beach property? This one is a short-term rental possibility as well. Unit number F, Indian Shores on Gulf Boulevard. 3-bedroom, 3-bath, almost 2,000 square feet, and you can get some really high rents for being right on the water. This one is you walk out your door, you walk around the pool, the heated pool, and you are on the sugar sand beaches, dolphin-filled waters of beautiful Pinellas County, Indian Shores. And you look to the right. From one of your windows, you're looking at Tom Stewart Causeway and the Intercoastal Waterway, and you look to the left, and you're looking at the Gulf of Mexico. You can see the dolphins swimming out there from time to time. Beautiful property, 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F, just over $1 million listing of mine. Great opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay, and you can see all of our listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
This is God's country.
All right, Milly, I'm going to play this quick clip, and we'll comment on it afterwards.
You know, you're being the only married person here. I think that's perhaps a good jumping off point.
This is Charlie Kirk.
I think a lot of people, both men and women, they're kind of frustrated with the current dating landscape. Do you have any thoughts on this? What's your diagnosis and any solutions? And we'll open it up.
Sure, yeah. I think people need to date with the intent to marry. Yeah, I'm a big critic of hookup culture in its current form. I believe sex should be sacred and is sacred, and it's really thrown away way too generously in this society and culture. And I can tell you I'm super blessed. I have the best wife in the world. We have an amazing life. Building a family is the coolest thing ever, and my prayer for all of you is that you one day can do that. That's so cute. It's honestly the most joyful thing, and I've had some pretty amazing experiences. I've been very, very blessed, very lucky, you could say, but very blessed is the word I would use. And the greatest joy I've ever had is coming home to my little daughter running up to my leg. There's nothing that even comes close to it. Not flying on Air Force One, not meeting with...
So that was Charlie Kirk he's a guest on a podcast, but it kind of rings into this, it leads in, Milly, to family law and the dating scene. But today, I mean, think about all the apps. You've got apps where you swipe left, swipe right, all the hookup culture. I think that's what he's referring to, and I can definitely attest with my little 2-year-old boy now. We're sitting there on the couch in the evenings sometimes watching TV, and he'll just kind of reach over, put his arm around my neck, and just look at me and smile and give me a hug. I mean, there's nothing better than that,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes, we do have a lot of hookup culture. And from a family law perspective, well, let me say, first of all, I mean, I obviously, even though I do divorce work, I do advocate for marriage. When somebody comes in to get a divorce and they ask me, well, do you think I should get divorced? At no time will I ever tell anybody, yes, please get divorced. Right. I don't ever say that. I always tell them that that's a decision that they have to make, and that they have to look within and perhaps connect with their spiritual advisor or their other emotional support system to make that determination. I'm only here as a tool to guide you through the legal process, and if you decide that you should need a divorce. What I am seeing from a cultural standpoint, which, I always say that laws change because society changes and then the law kind of plays catch up. And what I'm seeing a lot of is we're doing much more paternity actions when there's minor children involved, because many people are if you will, getting together and making babies, but they're not legally married. So they're basically playing house, and they have a child, and then they split up, and then we've got an issue as to what we're going to do with the child. And even though paternity itself may not be in dispute, we call it a paternity action because that's the action you file wherein the court gains jurisdiction over the minor child to make a decision as to, custodial issues and time-sharing issues. So I'm seeing a lot more of these paternity actions being filed simply because people are waiting longer to get married, and they're basically just living together to share expenses and raise a family. And I don't know if the student loan crisis is perhaps part contributing to that, because many people can't afford, or they feel they can't afford to be married because of all the debt that they're in. So, I think you have a domino effect, perhaps, of a lot of different things going on. But all I can tell you is that from a legal standpoint, we're seeing a lot more of unmarried families before the court.
Right, exactly. It's record numbers, and it's challenging because you do have, not only do you have the financial difficulty right now, the economy, of course, we all know, we've heard about it, is terrible. We've lost 20% of our purchasing power literally over the last year and a half, 2 years. So you have the financial challenges, and then you also have, you could say it's the devil out there tempting people worse than ever. I mean, if they had that remember years ago you had that Ashley Madison site where all these married people would go, hey, it's a discreet hookup site, right? Like all these different, there's so many different ways where people can go and cheat and have these extramarital affairs, etc. So it's harder and harder to be a married couple these days, and to be a good Christian and have that those constantly that carrot, that temptation constantly dangled out in front of you.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is very difficult. And because all of this stuff is now much more out in the open, I mean, just recently we had a situation where the head of the Republican Party was asked to step down because he was allegedly engaged in some swinging relationship.
Wow. Which one was that?
Yeah.
Was that in Florida?
Yeah, I was here in Florida.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just sad. I mean, you see so many things out there, and I mean, even though we're not supposed to judge, the reality is, of course, we judge, especially when it's a public figure. We're very much scrutinizing their conduct.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, but if they do it, then other people are going to think, oh, well, if they're doing it, great, I can do it too, no big deal. And, I guess it's, part of it is your value system that you may be raised with or that you acquire during your lifetime as to what you value. Do you value the marital relationship? Do you value an exclusive relationship as opposed to just hooking up with random people? And I should note, too, that I've read, I forget which newspaper I read it in, but that the AIDS is on the rise again because of this type of conduct.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. 833-ASK-MILLY. Is that the preferred phone number? 833-ASK-MILLY, MILLY?
Well, we can do it at 1-727-376-9100, but also the 833-ASK-MILLY will work. Either of those will get you right into my office.
Okay, awesome, Millie. Thank you so much. Good stuff today. Appreciate the updates.
Thank you so much. Have a good week.
My pleasure. All right, you can see all of our experts at consumerqb.com, by the way, consumerqb.com for all of your introductions, partners that you're looking to speak to, expert contributors, and come hang out with us at Brio Tuscan Grill. We're doing our third Thursday of the month. Gratitude parties there, so come on out and check us out. And we're coming up here with Brett Miller from Galileo. We're going to talk about satellite phones coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get